stopped coming in was because the meta was so Astra Viper focused on this map. So it's really interesting because now the meta kind of favors with the Omen buffs and the changes to Astra as well. And Viper, honestly, the nerfs in that direction kind of favor the double duelist comp, but this is the comp that kind of shut this comp down in the first place. And I know I just said composition like a million times, but you get the point.
It was the topic. So I'll give you that. ZETA starting off on attack. Seems like a slow start to the round so far. Defensively, investment of the wall already across middle.
Look at Shandy's position. Shan's position all the way in B main. He's got a lot. This is John, actually. Shand on the raise. And there's also a lot for BZ and over towards the A side, and that's where they're going back. So a lot of information now gained. There's nothing taking over towards this B main. And also, you could see NIP clearing back mid. They're jump peeking over towards where the wall was broken, and this execute has to start from really, really deep.
Trailblazer out. Initially gets through the cage, but you're right, they haven't gotten through the traps that have been set, and there they are. The first one comes through. Easy kill just like that. Jan gets the opener.
Excuse me. Tries to jump over. That was risky. But this wall has to get broken. And they're a little slow on the uptake, even though ZETA had to execute from so far back. The rotation didn't come for ages.
Look at this retake. They're going to try to push in through defender spawn and through ramp. You've got Sugar Zero
has to get dealt with.
Yeah, he's playing so far back. It's like he's waiting for it, anticipating the flank coming in. And you've got trap set hell as well. Laz gets the first one. The paranoia comes through, 81 HP, and it seems like things are being cleaned up for him. Fortunately, a 2v2 on the site as the spike ticks away. Crow left alone. He's the last to fall. Nice 2 kills out of John at the end there to give Nip the pistol.
Yeah, interesting though. Laz in that position right under Heaven. That flash, the paranoia, didn't come for so long. You actually had Zan push before it was even ready there. So he goes down, but they still managed to take out the round, and that's because on the replay right now, you can see them clearing and pushing with John and BZN retaking the way that entire setup was meant to be played, knowing actually that the time was not necessarily a factor, knowing that they could hold on to control for quite some time.
Oh, Bala. We got a little force, baby.
We got a force. And again, it's that same Trailblazer from the exact same spot on pistol round, and the same trap wires too. So look to see if John can find the same kill that we had Shand find through that smoke in Heaven.
I mean, surely it doesn't happen again.
No,
yeah.
Already broke it.
But it seems like the attempt at a retake is going to be the same. The wall's up. I feel like we've been here before. Almost identical setup. This is not a replay, folks. There you see some of the differences. John's already fallen. He was the hero.
They're through. I don't think Sugar Zero actually knows.
Oh, the flash out of the smoke. That's a little bit of info. There's no swing out quite yet, and there it goes. 2 members of ZETA already fall. Depth so weak. Perhaps Kamanzine down in L can find some value. No. Ultimately, he meets his demise. BZN on the tap. He falls through. Sugar Zero left alone. He's got a stinger. But the utility should keep things interesting for a little bit. They have to deal with him. Surely you have to deal with him, right? The swing out from Jan cleans it up. B&J gets it defused. The investment from ZETA goes sideways.
And there's a possibility there that they actually get a plan off for Heaven, right? You saw them try when Shand peeked out on top of him. And he just stopped and had to go back to a different plan. And that was the reason why Sugar Zero was being so patient, because he wanted to play with the grab well. He wanted to play for Heaven if they gave it to him. So not showing himself at all, unlike what we saw in the pistol round. But unfortunately for ZETA, doesn't work. And now they don't have the money to really force back, but as they got spiked down twice, they do have a couple of sheriffs, make it 4, and some light armor too. So this round's still a little dangerous given that NIP hasn't upgraded almost any weapons at all.
You do have a judge in John's hand, which is always exciting. But ZETA seem to be pushing middle of the map initially. Try to grab a little bit of damage with that nade. Nothing doing quite yet.
But they've got mid control. The problem is going to be clearing up actually towards John, towards that judge.
Or, I mean, if you go through ropes towards A, it doesn't get much easier.
Shand waiting. Sugar Zero's actually cleared the camera, which is important. But that hides information towards B. They haven't really pivoted towards any direction so far in these 2 halves, or 2 rounds that we've seen.
Smoke out. The thing is, Bala, they have options, but as we were saying earlier, none of them seem to be very good.
It's going to be back towards an A split. Only 45 seconds left. That's not enough time to pivot at all, especially with Spike going towards sewers. But look at the control from Shand and Kalanzine. They're playing by themselves, though, but with the upgraded weapons, it should be okay. And still has a nade to delay and some slows as well for Kalanzine.
Kalanzine, the young buck, feels some of the early pressure, and Jen cleans things up. Kalanzine repositioning, trying to do a bit of the same, but his friends are there. I mean, the reinforcements are there. Of course he did. Of course he did.
That slow was perfect from Kalanzine, and I said they were playing isolated, not playing together, but in fact, Shand walks back down the ramp for just a second, leaves the rope clear. There was a timing that could be abused, but those are nade, they have to delay, and he gets these 2 kills for another nade kill as well. Fantastic anti-eco, and fantastic coverage as well. Now they get a chance at a bonus, and finally ZETA have some weapons. You have to say that so far in these first 3 rounds, there really has been a clear focus for what ZETA wants to approach. And that might start to become really readable on the side of NIP, especially given the fact that they're controlling middle. In the pistol round, they controlled B main. They're always having something to go off of. In that last round, it was towards A main. They set up all the way up a ramp.
Smoke countered off. You see the Roomba should get through to clear out ropes, depending on where that tripwire is. No.
This is 40 seconds into the round, and just now is the first time they're poking at male. And Spike is still over back towards sewers. They haven't got a clear idea of what they want to do yet. And there's a trap play here from NIP to actually enable John to go flying with that judge.
They haven't found it yet. Oh, gun barrel. Pepper to the face, easy falls. 3 remaining on the side of ZETA.
BNJ even paired it with 2 smokes in towards male. So it's all up to Sugar Zero to find something. He has to actually get out onto site right now for his teammates to come in with the spike.
And he's going to have to deal with the utility from BZN. So far, they managed to have gotten through it. What they haven't gotten through is BZN himself. Kalanzine from up in heaven takes care of 10. BZN plays a little bit around the pillar. Laz left alone in that 1v5 and got it interesting for a little bit, but ultimately it was a 4K from Nip that gets them to 4. This is
Kalanzine. He pulls out a sword in the final moment there. Just jiggle peeks the spike too. That's hilarious.
Confidence.
Yeah. And now they've got some ults rolling too. Wow, ZETA's going back towards probably an ability to force here if they really want to. And a pretty strong force, but should be another eco again.
Yeah, and off that you see the timeout. ZETA haven't really had much as far as money. I think, understanding it's very early in the half, but yeah, they've only had 1 gun round up until this point.
For a long time, even though it's pretty basic for the most part. The one he was using in A heaven, swapped over towards B, using the one above to check the feed in B main that Sugar Zero has been dealing with. But the tripwires, those are the ones that, right now, ZETA looks, in some cases, like they're trying to feel out where they are. They're trying to break them, but he's putting them so far back that it's catching them and getting a couple kills. A big clash is going to happen here at A main.
5 stack. Not much for guns for ZETA. And it's been slow and steady up until this point. This seems like it's going to be the case. Oh, Jean gets 2. Feeling the pressure in A main. Goes for it aggressively. Ultimately falls. Now the rest of NIP are going to try to hold them back, keep them at bay. The Stinger takes care of Cowanzine, and now ZETA can move their way forward, as weak as they are. Total of 41, now 21 HP between the 2 remaining members. And it's over just like that. 5-0 lead for NIP.
That was a force. That was a force. A couple Stingers, some Spectres as well. Things looking a little dire here for ZETA. 5-0, and every time they have an idea, eventually it gets sniffed out. Shand just dominates with that. They put the wall up to actually see if they're there. Are they going to break it? If they do, boom, we go. There's not really a follow-up for it. No flash or anything like that because the comp doesn't allow for it. And it's not something that's fully gimmicked out where they have everybody and they're really gambling on it.
Crazy thing is that ult could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have.
ZETA with the full buy this round. 3 ultimates to work with. Ooh. You have some options. This feels like the first time with ults they're at full strength.
Sure. Moment there actually that John could have gotten punished. And if this was honestly any other game right now, where a team is playing slightly more aggressive in this mid area, he would have gone down. You saw how he missed his dash, actually got stuck in that little corner there. And they fought for all that space, but look at what it's given them. And now this Viper wall is something that they've been using the last couple of rounds, but over and over, Laz is not pushing up. That's not the greatest of signs. So he will finally do that, but with only the help of Crow first. And again, different trips here, plays from BZN.
NIP have done such a good job of playing together, particularly in Jan and Cowanzine up until this point. You even think about earlier in the round, the slower with the nade on top of it to deny the initial push mid. And they're going to have a chance, not quite in tandem because they have some help from BZN. They're going to have a chance to keep the A push back. Again, look at Jan. Oh, look at Jan. Do they check him? Do they check him? They drop on him. They do. Kills go traded back and forth. 10 seconds left. They're going to have to move on to the site very quickly. This is the best opportunity ZETA has had up until this point, and they managed to secure it. They get the spike down. The res comes up. Numbers in favor of ZETA.
Oh, that Viper's Pit is massive towards the back of side.
He's got to land that shot. Oh, he's got to land that shot. I mentioned they have to deal with the Viper's Pit. It all falls onto Jean in this 1v4. And he takes one with him for his troubles, but ZETA finally on the board. And the thing is, Bala, it was still late.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're burning the clock all the way down.
Yeah, sure. But in that case, it works really well. They have a great idea, and they have the space to actually execute pass. So using that flash early on for Laz to start working up the ramp, massive. And then they go back up through ropes. They get a nice split. A couple of ideas there. The wall from Sage to get across that Shad tried to take, or John tried to take advantage of late in that round. And then as well, the Viper's Pit that solidified it, completely taking control of screens, forcing players out or forcing them in to your crosshair. The classic B main one-way paired up with the slow gives BNJ all the room in the world. ZETA haven't been able to approach this site. And now they have another challenge to deal with, especially because they've switched the script as well. The Viper wall is all the way towards B. His orb also committed so that they could walk out. Now this is interesting because it looks slightly like what happened in the prior round, but without the Viper wall, without the Sky Flash too, that's the type of thing that you have to be trying to condition, and that there was no conditioning. So I think NIP should read into this. They've got Shand and Cowanzine ready to pounce over towards BNJ if they do end up coming here.
Once again, we mentioned them playing together. That seems to be a key part of their plan on the defensive half.
Oh, this could be deadly.
Cowanzine already falls. Jan has to give up the space. Quick tap to the back of the head. As ZETA just roll through NIP, they get everything they possibly want. And BZN is left in this 1v4.
Man, Sugar Zero is a madman with the classic. I can't believe he just ran in there. He's an Astra player. Remember the 3-bullet clutch yesterday against Fnatic. the pistol round, and BZN already just grabs the op, tucks tail. That was a great round. It looked dangerous for a second there, but again, they're executing from a space of comfort all the way up in mail. And in front of when the sage wall drops. I think that was the timing that NIP was hoping for, was when that sage wall drops, let's drop the slow, drop a nade. And hopefully they're going to be executing right as that falls. The timing completely flipped because of ZETA's wall themselves.
BZN trying to keep the op. 2 tags now with the KM. 10 took some damage. I think he certainly got penned once. But it seems like BZN's going to be able to take the op into the next round. So ZETA gets to 2. And Bala, what was it that was different? Was it just the timing on when they're hitting? Because it seemed in this moment, in their push into Be Heaven, that they just overwhelmed Nip.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, they're up close. Compared to the rounds where we've seen so far where they execute from really, really far back, the 2 rounds that they've won, they've taken a ramp control or they've actually gone up into mail. And this time as well, Nip had a setup where BNJ kind of playing by himself. I thought that they would be able to flip over towards B main, and that would be the focal point of how the round goes, but instead they try to hold on to Heaven, and BNJ is in the middle. He's in a transition to play somewhere where it's a little bit more complementary with them, and that's where they get split. That's where he's just getting crushed as he tries to make the rotate up.
Timeout coming through for Nip as they've dropped the last 2 rounds. ZETA, as Bala was so eloquently just putting, seem to have found openings in Nip's defenses that are getting them the advantages that they want. One thing we do have to remember is that BZN heroically kept the operator from the previous round, so that's going to be in play this time around. But
John's got it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hasn't been that big of a factor so far.
Yeah, it really
John,
hasn't.
Right?
Yeah.
You could see a couple times he wants to peek mid, but actually the slow tempo that ZETA is showing right now, especially on that default that they're running, the 1-2-2, is not giving him much. Not giving him much at all. So this time he's posted up towards B main, and they have the same pairing of Shand and Kalanzine over towards A. ZETA grouped up early on in the round, and we'll see if they actually take control of with this Viper wall. Because that's not that Viper wall indicates to me they don't want to necessarily go fast out past it. Otherwise, they would use something different.
Perhaps just like a straight vertical wall suggesting a faster hit, but this has been so much more of the standard approach that they've taken.
Dude, every round there's a slow paired with a paint shell.
Yeah.
And this time, ZETA's doing a great job actually trying to figure out, okay, there's one player spamming the wall. So the reaction comes out from NIP a little too early there, and it doesn't catch much. Actually, nothing. No damage dealt. Here's the dog to clear back, and they're going to take Heaven control.
And that's where you see this Viper wall be so effective. It takes away so many of the angles that you have to deal with when you try to establish control on A. Shan goes up the rope, met with the wall, has to patiently wait on the other side, and choose strategically when he wants to go forward. Waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Remember, he only has a Spectre in this situation. My goodness, the patience of that man. There he goes. The paranoia comes out.
Yeah.
Goes up top. Spikes are planted, though.
Give Sham control, and that's a big point right here. They have to, NIP has to get back Heaven because it's planted for them. And look, they're pinching from screens as well. 10 is all the way up. He's going to have a fight with John, and I don't think they recognize he's close.
ZETA pushing forward, corralling and controlling, trying to keep Nip back. But a couple kills go their way. Numbers in favor of Nip. You see the showstopper coming out off the flash. It drops through, and 10 gets 1. 2v2 that's left is 10. Not satisfied. Swings out for a third. Sugar Zero with the cherry on top to clean things up.
Gorgeous. That is gorgeous. I mean, you saw again the tempo being very slow. They baited out some utility from NIP this time. I really think they're starting to get a read on the game.
Yeah.
And the way that NIP is playing and the things that are win conditions for them and their comp. Because you saw, beginning of the round, the wall comes up, one player breaks it, baits out a slow, baits out a nade. Then they dog up, and there's a lot of layers to their execution. They're starting really early, but every single part of it successful and careful.
I think that's probably been what's impressed me most about this ball is they play at their pace, right? Like they have not changed things up. even with how much they struggled initially, right? Like, their game plan hasn't changed. Their approach is not deviated. Again, the same Viper wall, same setup, slightly later wall out from Kawanzin there, but the result's the same. It gets shot through.
Yeah. But they are giving a lot of information. This time, NIP is responding with a push down mid, and Depp is here to receive.
How froggy does John feel here? Turns to potentially look at the right angle. Suspense build, his X-ray goes away.
Oh no. Oh no. He's actually crossing back 10 is towards the Sewers position. Depp, they've got to have some discipline. Wait, what is?
That's gonna hurt. It doesn't feel good. Oh my goodness. Oh no! Oh no!
No! He completely misses. What could have been a complete disaster for ZETA ends up working out, and they're still grouped up past that wall. They're about to hit over towards Kawanzin. He's paired up with BNJ. This time it's the same sort of split towards A.
The trap is set, though. If Kawanzin can keep them back, you're going to have Zhan rotating in from mid to potentially apply more pressure. And you mentioned BNJ. This time he's up top ramps, but yeah, they've lost Heaven control. They've got to get the spike down. Pushing forward. There he is on the flank. That wall's not going to be a problem anymore. They should be able to push.
They've got res too.
In a bit more timely of fashion, that's a big kill.
As soon as they get BZN, gets the kill on Crow here. They've got control of BNJ. They've got control of this. But there's an astral divide that's so difficult to get through, but they're not playing the crossfire. Laz.
Look at how far up he's gotten. Laz waiting to see if anyone's going to be pushing in. Now he's going to have to deal through the smoke.
Wow.
Big kill. Sugar Zero on the site. Deciding to push forward a bit himself.
That smoke's going to fall soon.
On the other side of the smoke. Comes in on the tap. Sugar Zero swings out at just the right time.
That's a 2 versus 4 after the res comes up. Laz and Sugar Zero use the Astral Wall and the smoke perfectly there. And because they commit so many resources up to Heaven, that's where Laz has the confidence to actually push up into screens. And what a position it was. The 1 kill. As they come out through A main, I mean, there's nothing there. Nobody actually receded and went back over towards Heaven, back to clear spaces that Laz could have been flanking to as well. So he doesn't have to worry. 4 rounds in a row now for ZETA. And things have completely changed. It is very much a read on the situation. It is very much them baiting out the utility for BNJ, and they finally also broken the economy. Meanwhile, nothing has changed for NIP. Not a single thing. It's consistently the same wall A main or the same wall mid. And this time they're pressuring because they know they've got the advantage right now. And yeah, that does a lot of damage, but he gets both kills too.
You still have 2 judges in play here for NIP. Not in a position, at least currently, to bridge the gap and cause serious problems with it. But perhaps, BNJ can get the timing just right. It seemed like they're rotating off.
Dude, look at this. They cut noise completely, and everybody else is rotating. So BNJ left by himself. It could definitely do some damage, but how much?
And even after hearing Laz's molly, they continue to rotate off. That's going to spot the gun. 1, 2.
No trade. And now they still have to get through.
But they're just not in a position to upgrade weapons, right? I mean,
this smoke actually baits. Oh! I was going to say this smoke actually baits them to go back through and just push out, walk out towards Heaven. They're still waiting, trying to get this res now.
30 seconds left. You will not kill my ally.
Imagine not part of the initial plan at the beginning of the round to have to invest that ultimate, but
you wish the positions were switched here from NIP right now.
Sure. They've checked him once here before. The satchel to look while he's swinging out. It's the little things like that can make a difference in a big round.
That's discipline too. ZETA,
That's the second time they check it.
Yeah.
Right? How many times have you seen big moments where a team does not check that exact spot?
Thousands at this point.
Man.
You're right about that. That flower pot, so sneaky. I mean, but it's also because a lot of times you're seeing teams switch up the pace, go fast, right? And in those fast moments, you're expecting the utility from the execute that you've all planned out is clearing spots like that. So sometimes, you know, somebody doesn't have the extra nade or whatever it might be. The boom bot doesn't clear because somebody broke it. There's a lot of factors that end up making it so that you don't clear something like that. Ooh, fast through Heaven. Yep, there it is.
Oh.
And he gets denied.
The help, the ult, the kill. Out from Zhan. You mentioned the pressure with which they brought mid, and they weather that beautifully, Bala.
Yeah, that is super fast as well, and they're trying to take advantage of the fact that there's no wall actually even over towards A or mid. And they were blind too, but somebody's tucked inside of Mel. Oh, that timing. Oh no. The wall comes back up, spots him as well, so he actually has the freedom to walk up it, then just has to be aware of spam.
But that can't be part of the plan, right? The spike is nowhere near there. Even if you establish control, Depp also dying mid.
This is a round where I think a lot of ZETA players right here thought that they had a read on the situation, thought that they had a play to make.
They thought. They thought.
But again, I still don't necessarily think that this is a round where NIP is like making a great read on the situation, a setup or something like that that ends up winning the round. It's just, okay, he flashed the mid, I killed him.
Yeah.
He's fighting B main, I killed him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It was reactionary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is starting already to be a great half for ZETA division. 5-5 on their attack, going to be 6-5, and plenty of room for them to even fight more. I'm surprised he didn't try for this at all. His bank is huge.
Hey, it's an interesting, the kills have come in bunches, right? If we continue this trend, NIP won the first 5, ZETA won the 5 after that. So we'll see if it swings back their way as NIP break the tie and take the lead back.
So we can just go home, right? NIP's won. If you just continue the pattern.
I try not to do math on camera. I've learned many a time not to do that. We'll leave that to the engineer. This was such a good response, man.
Yeah, I mean, the smoke from BNJ, it's great for Shan to re-clear back into Mel. And he got himself a 3K. So good to see Shan just showing up as well, though, because he definitely had a drop in performance against DRX compared to the game against Fnatic.
Well, most would have.
Of course.
To be fair.
Yes.
But yes, you're absolutely right.
But he's the, you know, he's the guy everybody has their eyes on. And also was a big reason why they were so good against Fnatic.
You're absolutely right, ZETA. 20 seconds already off the clock in the last round of the first half. Operator in the hands of Depp, and I don't believe we've seen that at all. And of course, he will be the tip of the spear pushing up.
Yeah, normally he is playing Jet, except for 2 maps. And he goes back to slightly Sentinel roles, which is interesting, but not even the Chamber. So it's the reason we see him right now on the op. And he might find an entrance. This is completely the reason that we see the same type of shit that we saw in the last round, okay? Where they're kind of just dry peeking.
Yeah. They can't easily work their way into B Heaven. If they try to go into A Heaven, you've got to deal with Shan. The paranoia is going to push them back off.
It's all gone. There's the Seekers out towards A. It's all up to BZN. There's nobody here to actually protect except for Zand and Ropes.
And the nade keeps him back even further. He repositions just at the right time, but the Operator up close and personal treats it like a shotgun and drops him. Kalenzine up in Heaven.
Ooh, BNJ ulted. He's here.
Ooh, crispy. How much more can he find? Repositions back screens to try to spam through.
13 seconds. Pro has to find this kill. No, he's going to go for the plant. He's going to stick it, and Depp is here to actually protect.
Yeah, he couldn't swing out.
Enemy
No way, a 1v1. He only has 2 HP. He's made it 1. Oh my goodness, he challenged up top, but John, that was close. That was dangerously close.
My man just up-trashed it into his face while he had a Vandal, knowing the HP was low for sure, but that's the type of play you see made from John over and over, and he solidifies a 7-5 half for NIP.
That takes balls. That takes big ones. Unreal performance here. Unreal half from both teams. We're going to throw it over to a break. Or excuse me, not a break. We're going to throw it to the desk as we get ready for the second half. Jackie, take it away.
Doug, I was just shook by him saying that takes balls. I literally looked at John and did he just say that? I mean, that was a wild, wild map to say the least. NIP, they were up so much. I was looking at you, Jess, and I was just like, this is about to be done. And then ZETA woke up, apparently. I mean, what happened there?
Well, I think they really struggled to adapt, honestly. And you saw Sugar Zero win a 1v2, managed to pop off. I mean, his stats are just bonkers, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, the ACS is probably one thing that you wouldn't expect so high for an Astra player. That's a little bit abnormal, and we like a little bit of abnormalities here, unorthodox plays. And Sugar Zero, well, that's exactly what he's been able to put on the board. But something I really have to highlight that we need to talk about here is that was their attacking half. what kind of side are ZETA on Split specifically, which is a good map. We said it was a bit of a risk, but this is still a good map for them in their region. They're a heavy defensive sided team on this map, and they have already capitalized on 5 attacking rounds. What?
And I want to draw your attention to the bottom right-hand corner of your screens, everyone.
Cute.
We talked about what this means for these regions, and history will be made. And fans from Japan and Brazil, they're just going nuts. Okay. Yes, the art. I love it.
It's so good. It's 2 of the most passionate fan bases we have in the whole of Valorant clashing here today. And the players, yeah, sure, they've got that weight of responsibility, but one of these regions is going to get a historic win here today. And I really think NIP need to do a bit more adjusting. If we're thinking about the strategic side of things, they came in with a great game plan. Don't show me the toes.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't show me the toes.
Oh,
we didn't have to see that.
I didn't even see that.
That's a hot commodity in certain communities, so we can't show that.
I'm going to zoom into the fan art instead, bleach my eyes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're ready to finish this half. I'm going to hand it over to Doug and Bala.
Off the toes and into the throes of Split, a 7-5 lead for NIP early on. As we turn our attention to the second half, where the desk was talking about NIP on attack, where stylistically will things look different. We have to remember they've got that double op setup.
Yep.
Jand and Kawanzin, the dynamic duo.
Gotta be careful playing close in mid here. Always against this composition. With the Raze and the Jet, you can double satchel and dash into heaven at the same time as a Paranoia comes through, and that looks like they will try to challenge with BNJ's flash.
I mean, do they go full dive here?
No.
Reckless abandon, right?
Look at that, he's got the wall out, and on pistol round, that's not easy to break, even when it's fresh. I love how Laz has filled the position that Depp was just in after he slows them down just a little bit. And he gets the pick as well. You could even think that he baited him with the footsteps of crossing, so thinking that ropes might be clear. And that Shand gone. One of the elements of the dive.
It's a good thing they have 2, I suppose. You still have Kawanzin with the wall, so perhaps they hit a pretty traditional wall up, dash out, try to find some space. But no, the dash comes through a bit early as the gravity wall keeps the rest of NIP back for the time being, but they continue to push forward anyway as the kills go traded back and forth. Numbers still in favor of ZETA, and it's going from bad to worse. Only 2 remain for the Ninjas and Pyjamas here. Ooh. And 2 might be all they need, Ball, as they get it back to 2 apiece. The spike's been planted. It's now on ZETA to swing out and try to reestablish control of this site. And they've got a brutal setup. Smoke, does he reposition? No, he stays.
Problem is the wall here. They can't go into the crossfire with the frenzy. And it's not quite planted for NIP here, so they have to stay outside of B main, and yeah, Depp's not with him.
Oh my gosh! A 1v1, 75 HP! NIP!
Where'd he go? What a round. I mean, that was crazy. Even he was lost. I mean, wow, okay. BNJ did shut down that round, though. In the 2 versus 2, they played that perfectly. I mean, first they actually swing and get the 2 kills that they needed to get this round back into their control. After Depp goes crazy like that. See how they're double swinging. And then they have the crossfire set up. They know the wall is going to be up for quite some time, at least. And then they try to walk up even into the slow. And I mean, he was so low in that situation. All members of ZETA here.
Off the Viper's wall. Got a little something set up here. Stack of utility, the flash, the nade, the swing out, but you didn't check for Jan. And really the rest of NIP here as the Spectres just proved to be way too much for ZETA to deal with. The Prime Gaming flawless as NIP get to 9.
Those are the types of rounds you love to have if you have a Spectre.
Yeah, in and out, easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Shen moves around with the nade as well coming in. I'm surprised there wasn't more utility inside of this.
More.
Yeah, well, because they start that off by throwing the nade.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
They started off by throwing a flash as well. You might as well have a grab wall in there and
right,
potentially even a
else.
slow, something else. I mean, anything. A Viper Molly, just a little bit extra utility. But look, they didn't have it. They didn't have the money for it. And
you see how they have an Astra Star
inside the Viper.
Inside the Molly, yeah. Let's see.
Well, 10's nowhere near either. So it's not for a nade combination or anything like that. It could just be a half coverage. Yep, it's a smoke.
Yeah.
While the Viper Orb goes down. And boy, does the Viper Orb come down fast if you also want to have the wall up at the same time now.
See the kind of layers with which ZETA try to approach this defensively. Astra, smoke gone, Orb goes back up.
Yep. But Sugar Zero only has one more. So NIP know this. And with no star already placed as well, they can easily flash through heaven. Shand is so far.
And Shand is taking the initial space.
By himself.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if John was going to follow him, but Depp and the rest of ZETA bought at least a little bit of time. John is so weak, man. 2 HP. Sugar Zero anchoring things down back sight before falling himself.
30 seconds left. Spike down B.
Where'd he go?
Yeah, B&J trying to play some mind games here. No way, he isolates these, right?
Did he actually fake them out right there?
He did! Not understanding where 10 was going to be. Now he knows the smoke goes up. 13 seconds left. The swing out and the shots. The Red Bull clutch for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
And that's twice now. B&J comes up huge for them. 10-5. Unfortunately, ZETA not quite finding what they need in that round, especially after they found the initial kills when Shand came out swinging. You thought that there were, especially when the player down low as well. Ended up falling, but that was just gorgeous from B&J. Good patience. Also to isolate the fights with the TP. That's essentially what that did. Whether or not they believe that that TP happened, most likely they didn't. You have to actually respect it and look in one direction.
Absolutely.
So it forced the isolation.
So interesting here, ZETA on another broken buy, non-existent buy almost, but same Viper's Wall, and off of that you see the swing out from Shand at the very beginning, or John, excuse me, spams into the Viper's Wall, just in case they're up to the same antics from last time.
Well, Doug, you pointed out the pattern. It's 10-5 right now. They just won another 5 rounds in a row.
That's unreal.
So ZETA, if they win this round, I mean, you're a prophet.
That is unreal. Oh no, not the shorty kill.
Can he get it? Ooh, look at Sugar Zero's position. He's got a big flank. B&J has to be aware that is a huge fight, and he is. Now Depp's left completely on his own, and with the Sheriff as there's satchels going around too. What else can you do?
I mean, it was bold, right? to stand out in heaven like that with the Sheriff, but you're right. What else can you do?
Yeah. Then back to the flank on Sugar Zero as well as the last 2 players get cleaned up. That Viper Wall that they're using, super aggressive in mid, but that honestly kind of cost him there because he's not early enough to maybe find a timing where B&J is not aware of it, and he's not of that frag.
Upgrade a weapon here. Oh dear. All right. We're getting into squeaky bum time, my friends.
They both got guns.
Kawanzine, the young player for NIP, not able to hold up as ZETA snatched that round right back against all odds. And they're going to get the defuse. That's unreal. That is unreal.
Spare parts.
Yo,
ZETA.
Can we do some experiments on you right now? I don't get what's going on. Are you some kind of prophet, a witch doctor? Like, what is that? Okay. All right, ZETA with the thrifty round, 10-6. That is, honestly, massive for their chances of bringing back the comeback.
What a round. I mean, come on.
It's good to see that they're all having fun right now in the first map. Don't forget that this is elimination. This is for playoffs. And if they're loose, emotionally, mentally, that means that they could still fight for the series no matter how this map goes, and it's not even over yet. Only 4 rounds separate them.
Seems like we're teed up for an explosive round here. You see they've already taken so much presence in ramps. Almost everyone on the map is by A right now. One player from each team, the exception. Last swings out and realizes there's just a whole lot of hurt coming his way. But he just swings out through the cloud burst.
BZN. Massive turn on Delaz. And they're shifting gears all the way over. And they get the res back.
Do they lead? Oh my goodness, John.
Look at Sugar Zero. He didn't give himself any smoke. There's no time for another one either.
He's just going to have to go ballistic. There's really no other choice here.
They're not planning.
Not able to do it. Is this where the pattern ends?
No, surely not.
Right, 10 just 1v5s, right?
Yeah.
It seems like ZETA are going to save this round. So Prime Gaming Flawless comes through for NIP. Oh, actually, it may not be because of the res.
Let's see. What does the UI tell us?
That one was a free one. That one was a free one, but yeah, ZETA take the round back. Oh, it was, haha.
I think they knew in the back. So, important here. I mean, we really haven't seen many chances for ZETA to really adjust outside of that one round where they ecoed them back, because they haven't found anything on this defensive side. NIP is kind of rolling them over when they eventually hit. And it's because they have so much dive presence. And dive being the dash of this comp, the mobility of this comp. Oftentimes it's breaking the crossfires that ZETA is trying to set up.
Yeah, I've actually, I want to touch on that a little bit more as we hop into a tech pause here, because the game is not following the script anymore. We haven't seen as much explosion as I expected, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
I haven't seen as much dash, double satchel, full chaos, throw caution to the wind, and kind of see how things pan out.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons is because, again, like we saw in the first half, ZETA is playing really passive, right? You're seeing them give up mid. There's a couple rounds where, yeah, they pushed it, but they got punished for it.
Yeah,
so now they're playing even a little bit farther back, too. So the one thing that is kind of working for ZETA is 2 times they've now found flanks. Once on the eco round, and once as well, where Sugar Zero had the massive flank through B main. But they're not working out because NIP is really, really aware, fundamentally strong right now. And I think BNJ as well kind of took a little bit of momentum out from them in situations that ZETA should have been advantaged. So it's not even like strategically it's completely collapsing for them. In some cases, these passive positions are working. They're getting 1 or 2 kills, but the retake just doesn't work.
I'm being told that Bala kicked a cable somewhere, and that's why we're in the pause, but we should be able to fix it.
Kicked a cable?
Very shortly. Don't act like you didn't see it yet. But we should be getting back into the action very soon. It is actually an audio issue. So as soon as we get that squared away, we'll get back into the action again. An elimination match between Brazil and Japan. Japan have already exceeded their own expectations in a sense in getting a series win yesterday, but sky's the limit at this point.
Yeah, but I think also, and Josh touched on this on the Death Sideshow, said that these are the most passionate fan bases at this point in the history of Valorant. I mean, this is 2 years into VCT. The Japanese fans probably want a little more. ZETA probably wants a little bit more here. They're not going to be happy with just going down after.
It goes here.
Playing so well so far, at least in that last match against Fnatic. That was historic, and trying to continue the history streak at this point.
Early Viper's pit out from Laz towards A, and of course they challenge it because why not? The judge takes care of John. And now Nevro. We've got to reconsider whether or not they really want to push into that again. It doesn't seem to be the case.
Again, look, passive. Outside of that Viper's pit, which is pretty aggressive, and they've gotten the kill onto John. Depp is playing just over top, spotting for Sugar Zero, and they get a dink off on him.
You know, Ball, you were touching on the flanks that Sugar Zero have tried. You even see in that Viper's pit, they dropped 2 trips. One in the Viper's pit and one right on the outside, so they understand here that it's impossible for them to be pushing through that right now. They don't need to worry about the flank from A main.
Yeah, that's important. They cleared ropes, make sure that this flank is not going to come fast if it does through ropes.
Yeah.
And they'll have to deal with Sugar Zero.
Very impressive methodical approach from them.
Oh, Depp just healed as well, so they actually know he's in hell. He's in dark.
Every single corner gets checked. The neural theft. See the showstopper through, and that finds value.
He's slowed too. He tried to give an astral wall for himself to play off of, but it was actually really cool too. I mean, 2 versus 3. Ooh, nice shot from 10.
No real easy way in. Perhaps you buy enough time for Laz to clear out Heaven, but there's a Cypher cam that should be spotting him here shortly. It just got cleared out.
10 creeps
comes
player
forward.
standing.
He's alone with only 63 HP, and they knew exactly where he is. Where he was. Excuse me. NIP gets him at point.
That'd be cool if we could see as well Sugar Zero's perspective there. Even though this round completely goes in the other direction, he tried something interesting there when he died eventually to the showstopper. See the astral wall comes up on the minimap right there, and he's trying to dive in a pocket behind the slows where he could peek out. So a little creative there from ZETA, but again, Sugar Zero playing by himself. That was a gun round there. Depp really couldn't do anything. He was waiting for his heal to come back online since he got dinked. So now NIP have full control. They've only lost 1 round and a half. They could try anything they want. They could throw anything because their range super wide strategically right now. And again,
there's nothing going their way, man. Nothing going their way. They don't have anything as far as a buy goes. Well, they don't have much. I won't say they don't have anything, but they don't have much. And really, one of the weakest of the tools there, in depth with the Sheriff. Not able to find a kill, has to invest the heal on himself. Oops. No one saw it. Seeker's coming through. The swing, the flash out too. Yeah, it's a big one to get onto John. But once again, you didn't check.
One enemy remaining.
Jan, Crow's left alone in this 1v3 with 37 HP to his name. And it's not going to happen this time around.